What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast. It is November 11th, 2022. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, and we are here to cover episode 8 of Survivor 43, and the drama is getting started. Obviously, we just merged not too long ago, so the drama is going to be forefront and centered. Today, I'm being joined by Josh Verlin, and we might be joined by Eric Abraham a little bit later on in the show. Josh, how are you doing today? Because you're in mid-season form right now.
I am, Randy. I feel like I got my head spinning if I accidentally start talking about like who's shooting 3-pointers well in this podcast. Just chalk that up to it being the middle of basketball season. But no, I'm good. Always happy to talk Survivor with you. Definitely plenty to talk about. You know, Jeanine. I feel like I don't know if it's unfortunate that she came to an end or just she came to an end of an unfortunate season for her. Because I honestly, I will admit, Randy, I feel bad for Jeanine.
Jeanine never really got her foot in the ground, I think. And the past couple tribals have not been going in her favor. And you definitely looked at the landscape of the entire tribe. And we were left wondering, where does Jeanine fit in with all of these people? And it just seemed like she didn't have a spot or didn't have a seat at the table. I guess I should put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that she got voted out this episode because of that, because it seems so obvious to everybody else that like she just wasn't going to go very far. So I was surprised that they were like, yeah, let's just take her out now with, you know, what do we still have? 10 left, 11 left. What are we at? 10 left.
Yeah, 10, I think.
10. So I was a little surprised that they went for that move instead of that Ryan that was, you know, vote that maybe was going to be building. And I was almost wondering if somebody was going to like call out James and if or call out Cody or Sammy for being the flippers and go that way. So I was a little surprised that they kind of went with the easy vote with Jeanine. But yeah, I mean, you could tell where she was in the tribe by the fact that she gave her idol away to Dwight. Dwight gives it away to Jesse. And then
oh my god,
and then doesn't tell Jeanine, and Jesse doesn't feel the need to tell Jeanine. Why should he?
Josh, I don't blame you. I don't blame you because last week you were watching your Phillies. So I'm sorry about that. I hate to bring it up. Okay. So sorry. But I will say,
I honestly was more upset by the Union losing than I was by the Phillies losing.
That's good right there. But no, I do have to say we forgot to mention it last week. The whole Jeanine's idol leaving with Dwight, which I assume we both thought actually took place because, I mean, Survivor pulled a fast one, at least on me. When I saw that Jesse still had the idol, I was like, are you kidding me right now? I was fantastic, fully convinced. Editing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I do want to know, do we know what the rules are? I know there were some articles that came out. Let's say she did that, Dwight kept it. Would he be able to pass it back to her?
No, I think from everything I read, it was once the votes start getting counted, you can't move the idol back and forth, which makes sense, right? Because then otherwise, it's like you just wait for that's the third vote. Oh, here you go. Here's an idol. Like that's not that, you know, that wouldn't work. So yeah. I totally understand why it is that way. And no matter what, if Dwight had still had the idol, he would not have been able to give it back. Once those votes started getting read. But no, I thought that was a great trick by the editors because, you know, you just kind of figure like, all right, idol's back out there. Somebody's going to go looking for it. And it turns out Jesse has it the whole time, which makes me also wonder, does everybody know that Jesse has it? Probably not. And were people looking for that idol that they didn't show us?
I think it's
somebody had to be, right?
They're definitely looking for it again because I believe someone said that, you know, it's got to be back in play now. They had to put it back in play, which I don't know if I would believe that. Like it's a special idol made of beads that everyone believes went home with Dwight. So would they just make another idol with beads and then hide it? I don't know, but like,
or just hide another immunity idol. Yeah, I guess that's the question. Yeah, we've never seen an era where an immunity idol. At least I shouldn't say we never. In the last, 20 seasons, right? At least when you play an idol, a new idol goes out there. That's been the established rule. It would surprise me if this season of Survivor, given that the producers have just repeated so many things from the past few seasons, that they would introduce such a huge twist as, by the way, idols are now a one-time use thing. I think most people would be for that. But I don't think that would happen without Probst saying something about it, and I just can't see the producers wanting fewer advantages out there in general. But I guess we'll find out. Here's what I love, Randy, is how many people right now of the final 10 do you feel like have an honest shot at winning this game? Because it feels like it's a majority of them.
I think you could make an argument for every single person almost left in the game. I wish I had the list pulled up. I'm going to pull it up real quick.
I do. We'll go through it. I mean, Cody, clearly, clearly in the running, playing hard.
Although I think he's losing momentum. I will say that. I won't say something for everybody, but I do think Cody's losing some momentum.
That's fair. That's fair. But I'm just talking in like the total. I'm thinking about it as if this person gets to the end, will they have a legitimate argument to make?
Yes.
Here's my resume. And I think Cody absolutely is setting himself up for that. Cassidy, she's one of the ones I'm not sure yet. Not that she's not playing well, but like I just feel like she's like has the 8th best or 9th best resume at the moment. But Cody for sure, Carla for sure, James for sure, Noelle and Sammy for sure, Jesse for sure. So that's 6 people that if they get to the end, I think would have a really good argument to make. I think Gabler, especially if he wins another immunity, he probably, if he finds the right story to tell, which I don't know if he's that good of a storyteller, but I think he could make a good argument for himself if he makes it there. And then that just sort of leaves like Ryan, who I don't really see winning at this point.
Yeah, my one winner pick is the one person that I see that has no chance to win. Like I'm just like I don't.
And Owen got a really good episode. That was a good Owen episode.
Yeah, I mean, everybody left in the game, as to your point exactly, has a story. And Owen had a great episode. I thought that Jesse killed it this episode. I mean, the dude has 2 idols. Like he says, I mean, it might kind of go under the floorboards here, but he's got 2 idols because Cody still hasn't asked for his idol back. And I don't know. I kind of got this vibe from Jesse. He seems like a super nice guy. I know he's a super nice guy from everything I hear. But I almost feel like he would keep the idol because the way he said Cody hasn't asked for it back. And he seems very happy to have 2 idols at the moment. I don't know, because Cody seems like he's Jesse's like closest ally moving forward. But
I think he would give it back if only because he has the second idol.
Yeah.
He has a safety idol that most people don't know about. Maybe nobody knows about. So
are we surprised that Cody has not asked for the idol back yet? I mean, you got to think 2 or 3 days have passed now between tribals.
No, a little bit. My guess is because of all the camp chatter wasn't focused on Cody at all. And Cody was probably pretty aware of that he felt like he didn't need to ask for the idol back. And that by asking for it back, all you're doing is saying, I don't feel safe. So if he felt pretty safe, then just say, hey, let me just not cause that ripple. That would be my guess. Just because we haven't heard, I'm surprised that we haven't heard people talk about Cody since he was one of the people that just flipped.
Well, that goes back. Go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
I was just gonna say my guess is because he knew that there were like 3 other targets that weren't him that he felt comfortable enough to say, I'll just let it ride.
Well, I think that goes back to Cody's name not coming up, goes back to the fact that I feel like he's kind of losing some momentum. We saw pre-merge. Cody is definitely one of the front runners here. He's been doing great. He's a lovable guy. Everyone, the fans love him, especially, and stuff like that. But he had kind of a rough week. Obviously, he's not super concerned about getting his idol back, but it does shock me that he hasn't gone and asked for it back yet. And speaking about Owen, who you said had a great week, Owen was able to win the immunity challenge, fought through. He had that great moment of speaking about his, what's the word I'm looking for? His heritage
Adoption.
And being adopted and stuff like that, and how that kind of isolated him growing up. So we found out more about him. But then we got to talk about the guy that lost the immunity challenge to him, and that was Cody. This is back-to-back weeks, and I'm sure the fellow castaways aren't really looking into it like this, but that's back-to-back weeks that Cody was, so close to winning it. He had that outstanding showdown with Gabler last week, and then this week he had a great showdown with Owen. Ultimately, it could be a great thing for Cody because say Cody's a challenge beast, no one's really looking at him as a challenge beast, but he was probably a couple minutes from winning back-to-back immunity challenges the past couple of weeks.
Do you think the rest of the tribe out there underestimates Cody's intelligence?
Yes, 1,000%. And I think they do the exact same thing with Gabler. I think they're misjudging Gabler's intelligence too.
Yeah. I think that's what helps Cody. And I think Cody's aware of it. Like, I'm everybody's buddy out here. Everybody likes him. Did you see the secret scene where they were painting
I have
preposterous
not
on
yet.
the boat?
I need to watch.
He doesn't know how to spell preposterous, but it's fine. Like, but everybody, I think that's what it is people aren't looking at Cody like, oh, he's playing this super strategic game, but he is. He's like Cody, we know is playing the game and is smart, and I think is not doing anything that he's not aware of what he's doing, which is the ultimate thing on Survivor. You have to be self-aware that if you're going to flip, okay, I'm flipping, I'm making this decision. And the understanding that like just because now there's a 7, that doesn't actually mean anything moving forward because it's not a strong 7. Like there will be continual fractures in that, in a group of 4 and a group of 3 and a group of that we know that's going to happen, and I think Cody knows that's going to happen. So I think Cody is totally fine playing this role at the moment of the like, I'm everybody's buddy and I'm out here having a good time, and I've already made some moves that put myself in a good position. And now I can just sneak by for a few more votes. And then when there's 6 or 7, make a couple more moves and get to the end. And then when he gets to the end, I think he'll be able to tell a much more compelling story than people are going to give him credit for.
Yeah, I think
at this point in the game.
I think he's definitely an intelligent guy. And I think if he were to make the final 3, I wouldn't want to sit next to Cody at the final 3. I think he's just a fun-loving dude who could really convince a lot of people to, send votes his way. He's got a nice story in terms of his gameplay right now. He's got a nice, he's got a lot of things in his pocket. I guess that's what I'm saying right now. So before we get into some other people's games moving forward, there's one more thing I want to speak about the immunity challenge. And this is something we've seen in the newer seasons of the show where I will offer you guys a bag of rice, but I want 5 people. And I do applaud Jeff Probst for it. We've seen in the past where people are like, okay, how about 2 people? No, well, I want 4. Okay, can we settle on 3? And I thought he's been very nice in the past with kind of settling for their much lower number. But this season, 5. It has to be 5. And let me just make the negotiating process easier. It has to be 5 this time, and that's the lowest that I'll ask. Yeah, exactly. So I kind of liked it. This was by far the quickest we saw people step forward, like, I'm hungry. And someone even said on social media, sorry, I can't shout you out, I can't remember who it was. Why was it so easy for people to give up immunity for a bag of rice? Usually we see people say, no, I'm competing. I'm going to compete. I'm fine. So, Josh, why do you think it was so easy this season for people to step up and say, yeah, 5 people? I mean, fine. Well, was it because of the 7 and 4 split that everyone thinks they have going on, or what was causing that?
Part of it. I think part of it is the metagame of Survivor has changed a little bit over the years, with the understanding that certain people aren't going to win that immunity challenge, and therefore it's less. In the past, even if it was clear like this was not going to be the immunity challenge you were going to win, it was still like, oh, you're a quitter for not doing it. Why wouldn't you want like? So I think probably if we look at it like Cassidy, James, Jesse, Carla, Sammy, I can at least see 2 or 3 of them just being like, this is not the challenge I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a challenge for me. It's going to be Sammy. It's going to be somebody else. Not Sammy. Sorry. It's going to be Cody, or somebody along those lines. It could even be Gabler, because he's been a challenge person. It could be Owen. So I can understand if you're Carla, if you're Cassidy, maybe even if you're James, just being like, you know what? I'm not going to win this challenge. I'll put my name forward because either we're going to get 5 and we're going to get food, or we're not, and I'm going to compete anyways. Who was it? Who was the last? And then once you have 3 or 4, then it becomes easier to be like, all right, I'll be the 5th person, because maybe even if I thought I could win in this immunity challenge, I'm guaranteeing us rice, and that makes me look good.
Can you read the names one more time? I want to say
Cassidy, James, Jesse, Carla, and Sammy. I should have written down which order it was.
I think
don't remember who was 5th.
I want to say Cassidy was 5th. I feel like Jesse or Cassidy, one of those 2 were 5th.
I still don't know if it's the smartest move ever, but I can totally understand when you're out there and if you're sitting there that day and you're like, I'm exhausted. This is not going to be a good challenge for me. I'm not going to win this. I'd rather have rice than participate in this challenge for 3 minutes and drop my ball, and that's that.
Well, that was my next question is, would you have sat out? Because, I mean, to your point exactly.
I don't think there's any. It's like
that's a challenge I'm not going to win. I'm not winning the challenge.
I think the only way to know that question is like, where are you in the game
In
at
the
that
game,
moment? You know, like I don't think it's possible to say at the moment that I would or would not have, you know, like,
yeah, no,
yeah,
I
I think
gotcha.
if you feel pretty good about your 7, you know, especially maybe, you know, if you're Jesse and you got 2 idols in your pocket, you know, and you're Carla and you feel pretty in control, you know, there's all those variables change things up. I'd have to see the order in which people did it though.
Well, let's talk about this 7 then. So basically, just to make it easy on you guys, everyone in the 7 except for Owen, Gabler, help me out if I'm missing someone, Janine, and who's the other one not in that 7? Is it Noelle? I believe.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's everyone else. So it's basically Jesse, Sammy, Cody, Carla, James.
Except Cassidy and Janine both voted for Ryan.
Cassidy and Ryan.
I don't think there's this, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think there is a 7. Like, I think the 7 lasted that one episode, and I think the 7 is gone. I think they decided on Janine because she was an easy vote, and it was like, it's a very nice group of people, so they're gonna find like the easiest vote and they're gonna roll with it because it's easier to do that than make waves. And Janine and Cassidy got left out of it, but I don't think that actually, like, that 9 isn't going to be a group.
Yeah,
I'm expecting next episode a group of 4 to form and find 2 others to make a vote. That's my expectation.
I mean, I could see the 7 going one or 2 more votes. I can see what you just said happening, where it breaks up into more smaller groups.
There's what do that 7 have to really tie them together?
It's
not like they've been a group. You know, this is not an old season of Survivor. We're on day 25, and those 7 have been together for 24 days. We're on day 15, 16. That 7's been together for 3 or 4 days, and half those days they've been competing in things. I don't think there's any. I think that's the one, you know, one of the downsides to this shorter Survivor. There's no real loyalty to that group because they've only been together for a few days.
Well, I do think that Cassidy only voted Ryan. I thought that was super interesting that she did still vote Ryan. I think she only voted Ryan because of the fact that she obviously does not trust Ryan. Like, even when the plan got, you know, flipped back to Janine, she was like, why are we doing? She got very upset, it seems like, with everybody. She's like, no, Ryan needs to go. And I was like, Cassidy, you're literally like barking to your alliance to vote out another alliance member when the alliance membership just formed, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super interesting. I could definitely see them falling back in the voting blocks because someone said, you know, this is Survivor. 7 are not going to stay strong all the way through. Like, it just doesn't happen anymore. I mean, we already saw Sammy this episode. Sammy was already like, yo, I don't want to just sit here and be part of a 7. So he was already speaking to the people on the bottom. I still think Sammy, Gabler, and Owen could get together and do some damage.
And Noelle, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then all they have to do is convince a James who likes to be the godfather and make some moves. Like, there's plenty of people out there that will flip on someone if they know the vote's going that way. So I totally think, yeah, Sammy, Owen, Noelle, Gabler, and maybe they pull in Ryan. Maybe they go to Ryan and go like, "Hey, your alliance isn't for you. We're going to go after Cassidy." I don't think at this point there's any, like, you could pitch me a scenario in which pick 5 players gets rid of Gabler or Jesse or Jay. Like, that's where we are in Survivor. Like, I don't think I can reasonably predict, like, the Cassidy thing could happen, but the Gabler thing could happen. But I also am waiting for everybody to kind of realize that James sees himself as this godfather figure and for them to get annoyed by that and get him out of there. But he's been very, James's social media has been very, like, confident. And I'm wondering if he gets pretty far because he's like really, he's into it on social media.
How do we feel about James? How do we feel about James in the game? Is he like a godfather figure?
He's a Philadelphia guy. I think he's. No, I like James. I think he's
got the coolest voice ever on the show. Like,
I think he's. I don't think he's playing any like much better or worse than some of the other folks who are playing well. I just think he's more self-confident about it. But I don't see that, like, he's confident in confessionals for sure, but we haven't at least seen him be overly cocky or confident just out in the tribes. He's been, you know, trying to make moves, but he hasn't been like, I'm the godfather, like, to other people. So he's smart in that way, right? Like he's confident, he's cocky himself, but he's smart enough to like be a different person in camp. And it's not like we've been hearing, at least that we haven't seen other confessionals of all these people that are like, oh, James, like that hasn't happened yet. Doesn't mean that they're not feeling it, but the editors have not shown us that yet. So I think he's playing a good game if the fact that he is that confident and people haven't picked up on that he's being pretty aggressive. I think he's probably being the most aggressive of anybody on the island.
I like how
Maybe
James is playing right now. I mean, James was someone coming into the game. I'm like, I don't think this guy could go very far. They're just first impressions based off watching their casting video and whatnot. But James is fun. I think James is a fun guy to have in the game. He is playing like a Godfather like way. He feels like, hey, you come to me and I'll tell you where we'll go from here, which I think is fun. I think if you're looking at who the real Godfather, Godmother, however you want to say it, figure would be Carla. I still think Carla is really holding everything together and kind of running the reins from behind the scenes.
If Carla had boastful confessionals, she would be James.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, remember, Carla has James in like her back pocket from what I see based off their time on the Blue Tribe. So, I mean, I think Carla is fine letting James, you go out, you boss people around, you take the reins and feel like you're running the show. And I'll just lie back here and wait, excuse me, vocabulary.
I think both are right.
Yeah, well,
I think you can be right.
But yeah, overall, I mean, Carla's playing a really great game. And on this show, Survivor Now podcast, we like to talk about the positive stuff, the negative stuff. We love to speak for the fans, the ultimate fans and how they feel. So, Josh, I do have to bring this up. In terms of, this has been a huge talking point this week all over social media. There is 1, 2, 3 women left. Cassidy, Noelle, and Carla. There's a lot of people saying on social media that this season, I saw one tweet in particular, this season has a theme and it's misogyny. And so there's been a lot of backlash for misogynistic type play, which I don't think is happening, but I'm also a guy, so I understand maybe it's an altered viewpoint. How do you think this season is playing out overall so far with the fact, we're down to 3 women and then a bunch of guys?
Yeah, look, I hear those complaints. I get it. This is definitely still a society that has plenty of misogyny when I talk about like American culture. I don't see that as being the reason why these women are being voted out. I just don't. I don't, we just had 2 women win Survivor the last 2 seasons. I think it's one of those things like statistically, you're going to get variations, right? You're going to get seasons where 7 women make it to the end. You're going to get seasons where 7 men make it to the end. Like that's all going to be within the normal range. Is the more seasons you play, it's not just going to be 4-4, 5-5 the whole way through, right? You should expect that there's going to be some deviations within any statistical model, right? You're going to have outliers. So this to me doesn't, like, we've seen, Worlds Apart where there was like very clear misogyny and awful things being said to women. I don't remember any instances of any of the guys this season being misogynistic. Like it doesn't, like Janine got voted out because she's been on the outside of the numbers the whole time. Like, for the first 5 votes, the first 4 votes were all women and 5 of the first 6. But like Ellie's vote, she was playing hard. Like that's why she got voted out.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, I mean, for most of the people voted out, male or female, you could make a reason for why they were voted out. Like Nneka was voted out based off challenge prowess. She cost some back-to-back challenges.
And we
Justine was playing hard.
We did say early in the season, remember, I was like, I think that the shortened season and the increase on, the smaller tribes, whatever, is going to lead to more women being voted out first because you only have a 6-person tribe. You're going to, but that's not misogyny on the tribe's part. That's just sort of like the natural conclusion of what happens when Survivor makes the game this way. At least that's what I'm worried about. But no, I haven't seen any indication of that. And my guess is we're about to see a run of a bunch of guys get voted out because that's what the numbers are. Like,
I still think Carla, like I said, is in a phenomenal position. I think she's going to lay back and let all these top dogs take out each other. I think my biggest argument with people saying that it's a misogynistic season is, I mean, look at the guys we have in this in the game left in that have been voting these women out. You've got Jesse, Sammy, Gabler, Cody, James, and Ryan. Are you going to, I mean, Ryan, there's been people saying, I'm not going to say anything about any of them, but I'm just saying, if you look at those guys, those, from what I see on screen, I don't know what you guys are seeing, all seem like amazing characters. And you could say at least four of those guys are.
Forget, they seem like good people. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, they seem like good people. Forget who they are as characters. They seem like good people. And I don't think any of them has said one thing, oh, women don't work. There hasn't been one comment like that.
No, there hasn't been. Have we heard anything about guys need to stick together? Sammy literally went to Noelle and some of the other, Noelle and Janine and say, hey, I am not good playing a contempt game, just sitting here. So I think they are playing a tough game. Is it unfortunate if you are cheering for, if you're a female and you're cheering for a female? Yeah, like I get the frustration, but I don't think misogyny comes into it at all. I think it's just how the cards have fell so far.
Yes,
but I would not be.
But
I
understand where people are. I understand where people are coming from, and I don't mean to, we definitely don't want to be like, oh, you're wrong. Like, I get it.
Exactly,
totally get it. But I just don't think that that's the case this season. Now, if this happens 3 seasons in a row, like that's not great.
Talking,
but I mean, last season, the last 2 seasons we had female winners. Let's see, so. Last 8 last season, it was 3 women, 5 men, and in 41, it was 4 women, 4 men.
I think Survivor.
The final 10 was 6 women, 4 went. Yeah, so I really think it was just the way,
I think Survivor's been really kind of even in terms of, I don't know the exact numbers, in terms of like female winners and male winners. I feel like this hasn't been a show that it's been. We did have a span. Someone pointed this out to me earlier where, the last 2 winners have been female. And then like the 8 winners before that, or 6 winners before that or something were male. But I just don't. So I wanted to give us the chance to shed light into that, because that has been a controversial thing on social media.
24 men and 16 women who have been Survivor winners. Since obviously Sandra and Tony won twice, then it's 17 seasons won by women, 25 by men. So definitely like not perfect, but it's also not 40-2. My guess is my guess is if we ran Survivor to 200 seasons, you'd slowly see that get back to even.
I'm still sitting here. I'm saying don't, lose hope that there could be a female winner this season. Cassidy's playing a really quiet, good game. Carla, I think, is running the reins. I've said that multiple times already. And Noelle, I don't know where Noelle sits right now, but I think Noelle could, still be in an okay position as well. Like Josh says, this is Survivor. And even though it looks like a 7-4 split and, 2 of those women might be on the outs, it's Survivor. And next week it'll be completely flipped on its head. And then all the guys will start turning on each other.
And if Noelle makes 2 good moves at 7 and 6, then it doesn't matter that she hasn't been as loud in 12, 11 or 10. That's not how, the later you get into the game, each move is, goes much higher on the resume. So
do we have a, while we're talking about like Survivor players and such, do we have a challenge beast this season, that someone that could just win out on the challenges and stuff, or you don't see one?
I don't see one.
Yeah.
I don't see one. I think you've got easily 7 or 8 people. I mean, when you look at, like, Carla's really the only one who isn't, in terms of when I'm thinking the big Final 5 challenge, where it's like, you got to do this huge maze and do all these things. Like, I think Carla would be the only one who maybe could struggle a little bit in that. Everybody else is in pretty good shape and has pretty good, endurance in those sorts of things. So I don't, I mean, Gabler won 1, Owen won 1. I could easily see Sammy, Cody, Jesse, Ryan. I mean, Carla could totally win an immunity or 2. It just would have to be the right type of immunity challenge.
Real quick before we spoke before we started this podcast today, and we actually said it might be a shorter podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much.
There wasn't much to speak on, but I do want to say before we get into like the final couple stuff here about like who we think player of the week was and who we really like moving forward, I do want to bring up Sammy's game. Sammy's getting a lot of praise
my player of the week.
Oh, then it's a perfect segue into it. Sammy's getting a lot of praise from people for being a 19-year-old who is playing well above his means right now and just is playing a super smart, intelligent game up to this point. So, Josh, I'll go to you because he is your player of the week. Where is Sammy at right now in terms of gameplay? He was the only one of the 7 that we really saw be like, look, I am not good with this. Like, a 7 is not going to stick together. I'm not stupid. So where is Sammy right now in terms of the 10 or 11 left, or the 10 left in the game?
He's right in the mix. My guess, and again, like, I think that's part of the reason why this podcast is going to be short is that, like, this isn't the kind of season where we can be like, okay, there's this clear group of 5 and what's their line to the end? Because we just, again, I've said this for like the 4th time on this podcast. We're just at an open-ended tree right now. Like there's no
good way to put it.
Like there's hundreds of ways this show can branch in the next few episodes. So could Sammy make it to the end and win? Absolutely. My guess is that the rest of the tribe will figure out before long that he actually might have the best story to tell if he makes it to the end because of his age and because of the flops he's making and the choices he's making and the alliances he's been able to build with everybody. And my guess is that he will be voted off like in that 5 or 6 spot.
So he's going to be like the Ricard and I don't know who's running the game last season, either High or Mike, someone that you're like, will win
running the game.
Yeah.
But he's just playing really well. Like, I don't think anybody's really running the game at this point. Okay. I think this is probably the most egalitarian group we've ever had out there for a final 10 in terms of like, they're all decent people. Nobody's being really shitty to each other. Nobody's clearly put themselves on the outs anymore. There's no easy, obvious boot, you could say it's Ryan, but if the bottom people come together like they very well might, because what's stopping them, then Ryan's not an easy, obvious boot anymore. So I think it's almost impossible to predict what's going to happen because this is a group unlike a final 10 that we've ever had before. And I think some people will complain about that. I think it's a good thing, but
no, I was going to say
it makes it harder to predict.
There was a lot to complain about in terms of the new era of Survivor and the twists. And, I was literally thinking about having a separate podcast where we just speak on, you can just shake your head yes or no, but it's a question I do want to pull up. Jeff Probst, our Survivor god himself, Jeff Probst, is he starting to ruin the game with some of his ideas and stuff like that, the foundation of the game? So, there's a discussion to have. Is Jeff Probst kind of getting a little too idea hungry and kind of running out of stuff? But I also want to praise the show that we all love. And to your point, Josh, I don't know how someone can watch the confessional count if they want to do all that. There's a proper word for
Edgic.
it. Yeah, watch the Edgic, pay attention to that and try to guess a winner. In recent memory, this might be the most confusing who is going to win that we've ever seen. There, as you've stated, there are 10 people left, and there's at least 6 or 7 of them that have a realistic chance to make it to the end. And we might be totally wrong about that. Like you said, it could flip-flop. So I think Survivor deserves some praise about that too, how it's so open-ended. And usually you can look forward next week and be like, the vote's probably going to go this way. And then I have no idea what to expect next week. No idea whatsoever.
I think everybody in post-production has done a great job. I think the editing and the presentation of the show has been phenomenal. My biggest complaint has been the repetition and the fact that good Survivor seasons involve a cast that doesn't exactly know what's coming next. And it feels like this cast knows too much about what's coming next.
And it feels like 44 will be the same way. In a way.
Yes, I assume it will be. And then hopefully for 45, they change if we complain enough about 43 and 44 being predictable. Because really, to me, it's predictable. It's the only issue I have with it. I love the cast. I love the editing. I love the storytelling. I really like a lot of the stories. I mean, we can maybe nitpick the Jeff Probst moment from last week, but I really think that was a very minor thing in the overall course of the show. I think my only real complaint is just the predictability with which the show has gotten to, especially now that you and I are going back and watching some of these old seasons and seeing all these little things that happen that haven't happened in a while. Like, both tribes going to tribal council, except one player on the winning tribe has immunity. This might be from Guatemala, which I don't know if you've gotten there yet. And so both tribes compete for immunity. One tribe wins, or both tribes compete in a challenge, right? Mm-hmm. One tribe wins. The winning tribe then does an individual challenge where the winner of that challenge is immune, can't get voted off. Both tribes go to tribal council. The one that won goes first, votes somebody off, and then they get to watch the second tribal council. But the person who has immunity gets to also pick one person on the other tribe that has immunity. But they don't know about, like, again.
Yeah, it's just great nice stuff like that. Yeah, great story. I don't know what it is, but I agree with you 1,000%. I think I saw your message. I can't remember if you messaged me in particular or posted something on social media, but I remember you saying something like it's getting too repetitive where players are just able to.
Yeah, I tweeted it yesterday.
Know what's coming out. And I agree with you 1,000% in that. It's like, we watched 41 and 42. We know what they're going to do. Like, it got to the point where people got taken away and they said, well, we know it's the prisoner's dilemma. Well, that's not good.
You've got 40 seasons of twists to bring up. Bring someone away and have Cochran show up again. Like, they haven't done whatever. Like,
they were so very big into Survivor coaches and then just got rid of that really fast. It was like Cochran, and then you had Sandra and Rob in that season.
That was like 6 seasons later. But I'm just saying, like, you've got 40 seasons worth of tricks in the bag. Why does it feel like we're just relying on the same 5 tricks?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Just to be different, my player of the week, you said Sammy. I'll say Owen deserves. And then I did. I've stated we don't really need to talk about it because we've talked about it plenty. But I've stated, I felt like we're getting a little too emotional with these emotional moments and such. And I saw more people online say, "Oh my gosh, can we get away from this emotion?" I didn't have an issue this week. They had one thing they told Owen's story and that's it. I didn't see any other emotion moments.
No, I think people generally over complain about that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the Jeff Probst moment with Noel last week was like, all right, a little bit, but like, again, it's 30 seconds of the show. It's really not a big deal.
I guess I'll wrap us up with a fun question here that really doesn't have anything to do with the season, but it's got more to do with like this new era of Survivor. And I don't think I've asked Josh this question since he's joined the show. By the way, Josh, people are loving you. I have people reaching out on our Instagram page saying, yes, Josh, like they're loving your insight and everything. So
thank you.
But what I'll ask is,
I should say, thank you, my wife. No.
Yeah, just her. No, I'm kidding.
Thanks, Aurora.
How much longer until we have a returnee season, do you think? Like I said, it doesn't really have to do with this season.
No, that's a good question. I'm hopeful for 45. I think if it was 44, we would have heard about it by now. I can't imagine it being any later than like 47.
I was going to say, I could see them not doing one until 50. But I'm still holding out hope that 50 ends up being like the international season that they're speaking about. But I just don't know if that's.
But see, if you're going to do that, like then I would hope that they do, because I liked the Edge of Extinction where you bring 4 people back as team captains and things of that nature. Like I don't think you need like an entire returnee season. Do a fans versus favorites, or do a team captains one, or do just you bring 6 people back and sprinkle them on throughout the tribes. Like I think you can do that. I don't think
if you really want to push this like new era of the show. I guess what you could do, they're all about repetition. Season 8 was Survivor All-Stars. Season 48, just make it New Era All-Stars. I could see them naming a season that New Era All-Stars.
Just 41 through 47 returnees. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Whatever. I would be surprised if it takes until 50. I would hope that it's like 45, 46.
Are you missing one or no? Or are you still good at the moment? Like I was
Am I
thinking about
missing
that.
a returning season?
A returnee season. Like even if it's not like a full returnee season,
we
maybe
just
like
had 40,
half and half.
I think 41, 42, 43, 44, even 45. Like, no. Give it a few years. I'm not, but yeah, I'd love to see Rick Devens come back. I'd love to see Christian Hubicki come back.
Please go back to those people.
There's all these people from the mid to late 30s and even some from the earlier 30s that I think would be really good. I mean, look, yes, you can even go way back further than that. There's so many good players that have played that we'd love to see back. But if you want to even just keep it to recent memory, I'd love to see season 45 have people from 36 through 44.
I was going to say there's some people who have played now who I'd love to see play again.
Yeah.
I know she wasn't a popular figure, but I'd love to see Shan again. With that being said, I'd love to see Ricard again. Mike, I would love to see Mike come back. Abraham, I know, wants to come back. So, there's a lot of players that I'd like to see from the new era. But obviously, Jeff Probst made that comment a while ago, and he has since taken it back, where he said, we don't really want to go back to the previous 40 seasons. We want this new era. And he said, well, I didn't mean no one can return from that. I was just saying we want to focus on new players moving, so I think that was his way to kind of be like, okay, I heard the fans.
I'll settle for 47, but I would hate it to go 4 full cycles without seeing any returners back.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. So it'd be 4 like seasons where spring went. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
This is our second
spring,
cycle without anybody back. 45, 46 would be our third cycle without anybody back. And if they go longer than that, I would hope in that 47 48, we at least get a captain season or something.
Yeah. No, I like that. So, well, I think, Josh, that covers everything. Is there anyone in particular? We basically spoke about everyone.
I think we've covered everybody.
Is there anyone in particular that you want to let the audience know if they have their own fantasy competitions or stuff? Because I know there's fantasy games out there that you think this person's in a really good spot and they don't have to worry about them.
No, I don't think anybody's in a good spot. Or everybody's in a good spot. I think everybody has connections. Everybody's got a chance. It's just about who you can convince to do the right thing on the right day. And I don't think we have nearly enough hints or clues as to where things are actually going to break.
No, I agree. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are listening on Spotify, go ahead and hit that follow button, rate our podcast. We really do appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We've got loads of Survivor content coming out for you guys. Go check out our Patreon page. We had a Survivor draft happen on there. You'll get early access to some stuff. We've got Survivor Australia, Heroes versus Villains coming up January 2023. That's going to be a really fun season. We will be covering that for you guys, doing exit interviews as well with the castaways as they leave the game. And then we've got some fun stuff coming up as well. Like Josh says, we are currently rewatching a lot of the older seasons that I've never seen because I never saw like the first season all the way through season 21. I'm on Palau now. I need to finish it. The Crown just came out.
I've been waiting.
Yeah, Josh is the way better person here. He's on what are you on now?
Well, I stopped. I was waiting for you.
I was going to say
I started watching Amazing Race seasons until you finished Palau.
That is fair. I'm on episode like 8 of Palau. So there's only like 6 episodes left or something like that. So I need to finish Palau. I got watching on The Crown and I've been binge watching that. So, but yeah, we're going to do a quick little short podcast where we talk about the old seasons and look back on those and some of the top players and stuff. And Josh will be joining me for that. Only other thing I have to say, thank you guys for being patient with us on the schedule. We know you guys are expecting us right after the episode airs on the West Coast on Wednesday nights. We are human. We do have other jobs. Josh is in season form. He's covering basketball. Abraham's had some stuff come up. I've been dealing with some stuff and some sicknesses as well. And then Will's in school. So we are trying. Ideally, we'd like to get back on schedule. But, if we have to push it back a few days, then we will. But thanks again for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you next week, guys.